What's up, everybody? Welcome back to your favorite New York Jets subscription podcast, Badlands. I'm your host, Joe Caparoso, joined as always by Connor Rogers. Post-game preseason victory podcast. A very convincing debut for Aaron Glenn and the New York Jets. As we're recording this, there's like 2 minutes left. It's 30-10. Connor, we were talking before we came on air. Everything kind of went perfect tonight. I mean, there's nothing that's ever perfect, but a pretty damn good start for Glenn. How we feeling?
How do you not feel great, right? And it's the preseason. I get it. There's going to be people that right away, some people just be like, I'm not buying into any of this. They won't enjoy this. And that's fine. We don't ever tell people how to be a fan on this podcast. But if you follow this team as closely as I think a lot of people that subscribe to this podcast do, like, how do you not enjoy that? What it reminded me of, Joe, is yes, it's the preseason. I will reiterate that probably 40 times during the show. But every year at the Combine, whenever I interview the Georgia guys, to an extent, the Alabama guys, and, just players at a program where things are just on a tier that it's almost a pro program, a lot of times they tell me, hey, most of the time, our week leading up to the game is so much harder than game day. Right? Like, that's something they often tell me is most of our games are a lot easier than us practicing against each other. And this game felt kind of like the Jets' practice intensity had finally rewarded them, right? And yes, it doesn't count in the NFL standings, but it has to feel good when they get on that plane from Green Bay and fly back home that you walk by your coach on the flight and you kind of think to yourself, damn, how sore I've been, how tired I've been, how exhausted we are. It's kind of worth the feeling I got right now. And yeah, the Jets are probably not going to be this great team year one under Aaron Glenn, but you start to buy into why we're doing things. That's kind of how I looked at tonight.
Yeah, I mean, just from the start of this game all the way through how it's finishing, the Jets just played with a different level of physicality and intensity.
Every unit.
And, they finished plays. Again, there was a couple personal fouls. It wasn't the cleanest game in the world. But what do you want to see what do we want to see tonight? Their starting offense came out. They went against Green Bay starters. They went right down the field and scored a touchdown, ending with a Justin Fields scramble where he showed off his athleticism. We had Isaiah Davis faking like he was still going to catch a pass, which everyone is pointing out, a heady play. And what I liked the most was how Tanner Engstrand was designing this passing game that was just scheming people open and not, elaborate downfield throws, just check downs, easy, simple things, but guys were wide open. It's not like Andrew Beck was Jerry Rice out there, but he was releasing to the right spot. Fields was finding him, and he has 2 catches for 36 yards, and the Jets are moving down the field, and they're able to push the pile. Braylon Allen in particular looked really good tonight, as he seems to at this time of the year, where he just looks a different size and speed than everyone out there. And all units for the Jets, first string, second string, third string, they ran the hell out of the football tonight. They had 400 yards of offense. They ran for 150 yards, but you got the starting offensive touchdown. And then, defensively, Jay Tufele looked like Aaron Donald. It's a preseason game. Things like this happen, right? This is a guy they signed off the scrap heap from the Bengals. We think he's going to be a rotational player. He has 2 sacks, has a touchdown on a Leonard Taylor strip sack, which we were all particularly excited about because we've been waiting for Leonard Taylor to do something. And the Jets badly need guys like Tufele, like Taylor, to make plays. And that's exactly what they did tonight. And the Jets recover a fumble on special teams. Mevis makes all of his kicks. And they just kind of dominate in all 3 phases. And they win 30-10. And it's the preseason. We're going to reiterate that. But this is what you want to see from a debut, from a new coaching staff, just in how they played. So my main takeaways were, we've been terrified about this defensive line. The defensive line showed up tonight, even though theoretically they were down a starter in Cowart, who didn't play. Quinnen didn't play, and they were still very good. And the starting offense scored. And they kind of moved down the field with ease and scored, which is what you want to see in the preseason. And you got a little taste of what Fields could do with his legs. And then one more, I'll shut up. A perfectly executed screen to Stone Smart for a touchdown.
You love to see it.
I know it's from Adrian Martinez, who was good and was feisty tonight. I was actually surprised he was the third quarterback in, not the second quarterback in, but he ran around, he made plays. But Smart, who looks like an NBA power forward out there when he's rumbling,
Yeah.
like just kind of like cruising into the end zone on a 24-yard touchdown. So really hard to poke holes in it. We'll come up with some things to poke holes in on some of the penalties in the back half of the pod. But what were your main positive takeaways, particularly in that first half where the Jets were, really firmly in control of the entire game?
Well, the Tufele Linsanity game was
like
utterly
Sione
ridiculous.
Pua with superpowers.
Utterly ridiculous. I mean, this is somebody that is a former 4th-round pick at Jacksonville. He lasted 1 year there, and then he's been on Cincinnati's roster, and he did play a decent amount last year, but like I'm sure he was somebody they were complaining about when they were a very poor defense, especially a poor run defense specifically. And he had a great game, and he took advantage of a situation that, once again, you said it, there was no Quinnen, there was no Cower. What do you do with your reps? So Tufele was one of the stories, and can he carry it over to NFL success, which would kind of be a first for him. Now, to be fair, I mean, he just turned 26 years old, so maybe there's some development to be had here, but, let's see this insanity run turns into something more. On the more sustainable, well, also, you have to bring it up with Tufele. Leonard Taylor, man, when the lights come on, he kind of finds a way to make a play all the time. You didn't hear his name a lot throughout camp, and then he finds a way to make that play with that strip sack right in the end zone that Tufele fell on. So, I mean, that's a guy that just, it kind of seems like when it's game day, he gets a little bit of a different gear going. Yep. I'll actually start with the Stone Smart screen because it relates to earlier in the game. When you play heavy, and what I mean by that is when your personnel groupings, and maybe during the week show, you want to be careful with how much you pull from trends during a preseason game because these coaches are being careful what they're showing. But I still think it'll be interesting to dive into not only the film, that's super interesting, but maybe less so the numbers. I'll bring some stuff up for that show. But that's an example of when you play with the heavy personnel grouping and you play with balance, run and pass balance, that a chip and release from a tight end is a dangerous weapon in the pass game because that's a look where Stone Smart looks like he's going to block and then he releases late. He turns around, he catches a screen, and he can rumble because there's no one near him. So that's a reward of you establishing of being a grouping that, a heavy personnel grouping that looks like you want to run the ball, acts like you're going to run the ball, and then you throw the ball. And that was a theme with the starting offense as well, that, there's a couple of smart checkdowns from Fields on that drive. And then something we've been saying is something you really can't track during training camp as much is when all hell breaks loose and Fields has to make a play, he could tuck the ball and make a play, and he could outrun defenders at the second level. He can out-angle defenders at the second level. And that was a really smart play by Isaiah Davis to carry a defender as well. So I thought, though, more notably on the plays where they didn't even have a ton of success all the time, I thought this offensive line looked really good giving him time. The Packers played starters.
Yeah.
They played starters. And it just felt like Membu didn't look out of place on a single play.
0 pressures allowed on 10 pass rushing snaps. What else can you ask for?
He looked like a pro. I mean, obviously they were dealing with some O-line Tetris with Simpson out and Tippmann at guard. ABT looked really, really good. The big Braylon Allen run, ABT had the best block up from my broadcast view of that play. And once again, we'll watch some tape of this. Will McDonald looks amazing.
The 9 looks right on him with the extra weight. He looks like a different player.
He looks like a star pass rusher, like a pass rusher that you're like, okay, like when are we going to give you $25 million a year? Like that kind of look. Now you got to produce, and he did last year, and hopefully he does this year. But my goodness, against Zach Tom, he had a spin move that destroyed him. Zach Tom tackled him. It was the most egregious no hold call, and the Jets got the sack anyway. But I think McDonald can be one of the best players on this team. And I'm not saying top 5 or 6. I'm saying top 3. I think he'd be a top 3 player on this team. That's how good he looks. And, I'll close it with this. It's just, you could see the intensity. Glenn really looked at this game as an opportunity to not go into it and say, okay, what has our coaching produced? He looked at it as a way to go, okay, this is another layer of us being able to coach. When guys made mistakes, he was all over them on the sideline. And yeah, honestly, once again, like there was just so many positives to take away from a freaking preseason game, but it felt like a big change of what we're accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, his reactions to the back-to-back personal fouls where they were late hits out of bounds. Second one was a little borderline.
He's very involved.
Deeply engaged in the game, which
Yes.
I'll say is very refreshing compared to what we saw previously, preseason or not. It's just a different energy on the sideline. And I thought Sauce had a nice opening drive. You know, he did have a kind of
Sauce looked good.
He had a ticky-tack one, but I liked how he looked. I liked the physicality he was playing with on the first drive. He was kind of all over the place.
Very intense game from Sauce.
Very locked in
for a preseason game.
You have to imagine those Beck checkdowns are probably Mason Taylor targets down the road. Maybe a guy like Beck still sticks anyway, but like I would think those are the kind of targets that end up going towards him.
Well, think of it. I mean, they went to him and not Ruckert.
Yeah,
that's kind of interesting.
I think Ruckert and Corley were kind of two of the losers of the night tonight. Like, I see no way Corley makes this roster.
I don't think they consider him a factor on this team.
I don't even know it's really a discussion point anymore because Brandon Smith had a couple of nice moments. Skinner had a great catch. Even if you dig a little deeper, like Pritchard is clearly getting a chance to be the primary returner. He kind of just looks like Gibson to me. It's funny. He's just like New Gibson. Like they're like the same size. They kind of move the same way. Maybe Pritchard's like a little more reliable and you try someone new.
He is. I wrote down in my notes. I was like, did they just find their next Gibson?
Yeah. It's like
Tyler Johnson had catches with the starters.
Exactly. He caught the weirdest looking pass from Brady Cook I ever saw in my life. A very nice third down conversion. Donovan Edwards played well. Like he had took one to the house. I got called back, but had Jews caught the ball well out of the backfield. Like everyone was sort of involved in the passing game. Kuntz even had a catch, and it does seem like I don't see it for Corley, and I'm not sure I'm going to see it for Gibson with Ruckert. Like, yes, Stone Smart made a play. Beck is in there, had a couple of catches. You know, Mason Taylor is going to be a factor, and I just think up and down it was a very positive night for the Jets. I liked again how Angstrom designed the offense. It's one game, but people were schemed open. I think defensively they were sound. They tackled. They didn't have a lot of like brain farts and mistakes and like gaping holes open for the running backs. A lot of Izzy tonight for the Packers. He's just all over the place. And Mecole Hardman still being terrible and muffing punts and having no idea where the end zone is. But it's a story for a different day. So I think if you're the Jets, you leave really happy and you feel good saying like, all right, we played with a different kind of energy. And you roll right into joint practices with the Giants, right? This is the meat of training camp. You have a great first preseason game. You have a big Tuesday, a big Wednesday, and then this game against the Giants. And then it kind of starts to ramp down, right? You're not going to play anyone of consequence in that third preseason game. You kind of soften up a little bit, and then it's right into game prep for the Steelers. But, you know, in the vacuum of tonight, you leave feeling really happy and feel like you were prepared and like you showed up. So I don't know if we got concrete answers on some of the bubble roster spots, but you could kind of feel where the wind's blowing.
I mean, Stiggers made plays.
Stiggers look really good on special teams. Look like their best gunner, right? Like he was involved on 3 or 4 tackles. So that's going to get you a spot in the roster. It seems like Tony Adams got banged up. That could open an opportunity for Malachi Moore. There's a rumor, which I'm sure we'll get confirmation on, that Lazard was in a sling. You know, he was playing with the second and third stringers. He was going to be on track to have a roster spot. Any kind of injury, I'm curious what the trickle down of that is. But again, you just look at the guys who would take his spot. It's Tyler Johnson who's probably just going to play that many more reps.
I think he's just better.
Yeah, and he's younger and has more upside at this point and was playing kind of ahead of him from what I could kind of gather tonight anyway. So they got out pretty clean. I'm sure LaFleur in Green Bay is not happy with that tonight. The Packers were messy tonight. A lot of penalties, sloppy.
It's kind of embarrassing.
Yeah. It was a pretty thorough ass kicking up and down. So it's we're happy. We're happy with the debut and enjoy it. You know, Jet fans, right? You've been waiting to watch these guys for a long time, and your mobile quarterback was mobile and smart with the football and had a nice looking touchdown. Your new offensive coordinator designed the offense well, and your defense was flying around and making tackles. Like that's what we've been waiting for. So roll it into Tuesday and Wednesday now and start stacking together strong weeks. It makes you have a night like tonight. It makes the hysteria of 3 days ago of Fields being 5 for 12 at practice.
Panic at the practice.
Yeah, feel a little ridiculous when you see it when the lights are on. So Feels like an A performance tonight. I'm sure Glenn's going to say a C+ because of some of the penalties, which is fair, but they exceeded my expectations tonight. I thought it would be a little messier tonight at moments, and it's the first time head coach, but they look like a well-oiled machine, which was nice to see.
Clemens getting into his fight early.
Yeah, that's a good way to bring. It's like they shove him, and it's like, dude, just walk away, and he just cannot walk away.
Some people can't though, and I think I was trying to watch closely. I think they pulled him and got on him.
Yes, they did. They did. It's not perfect. 3 personal fouls on defense is a problem. The
late hits, they were just. It's like, what are you doing? Like I get you're all fired up, but
why? Sherwood and Quincy look good tonight. They look fast.
They're gonna be just fine. They've looked great in camp. They fly around. They make plays. You just got to give them some space to do that. Yeah, this is a team that looked ready to play at a pretty high speed. And once again, maybe the Packers are treating their ramp up a little differently. And when you get everybody's a little more even in September, the Jets won't obviously look like this all the time. But it's nice when you're doing things away and you reap the rewards of it. And it just felt like that tonight. It would have, once again, if the Jets went out there and they just looked lost,
we'd be freaking out, and everyone would be freaking out.
Yeah, you'd be like, why are we killing each other to look like this?
Yeah.
This is just, now it feels like we're just puffing our chests in these training camps to make no, you're doing all of this for a reason. Like you're going to get some reward out of it. And it's, you know what? I'll say this right now. I'm glad they're this ramped up because this is going to be a bloodbath this week. Yes. I think it
be a few fights. Definitely a few fights.
Abdul Carter is on top of the world right now.
Yep.
Jackson Dart had a nice preseason debut. Russ is Russ. Giants have talent. They undeniably have talent, but it's going to be a war this week. I'll say it right now. And there's going to be some heavy blows thrown back and forth.
Glenn looked good on the sideline. It was nice seeing him out there.
It looked
just felt right.
Looked really natural.
The Jets might have a punter. Punter was good tonight. Their rookie kicker, but you know what we're going to get out of Folk, but their kicker made kicks. Like they played good special teams tonight. Yeah. Clean special teams.
Thicker kicker, it's not the most aesthetically pleasing looking kicks, but it worked.
Listen, we'll take it. 3 for 3 on field goals. They punted well. They covered well. They had a forced turnover. They had a defensive touchdown. They hit like the bingo tonight. They did a little bit of everything. And
if you're Banjo, like you get jacked up about that.
Yeah.
This is my first crack at this being the head guy, and I got guys flying around for me trying to impact the game. That feels really, really good. So it just feels like they're really, really fired up, and they're almost, some of the Jets, it's almost cliche coaching, but it's cliche for a reason. And it felt like, there's a good dynamic right now, and carry that through the entire summer and carry it right into week 1 at home against the Steelers, this kind of energy.
Yep. You got a sense of that identity on offense, the kind of team that they want to be. With the first team, the second team, and the third team, there's a style that we've discussed for a while. There was an intelligence to how they were designing their checkdowns and their passing game to complement the running game and the screen game. There's something there. Now, are they going to be consistent? That's the biggest question. But we leave tonight happy. We leave tonight reminding you that 2 weeks from today, we will all be together in person. So badlandsdoj.com. Get those live show tickets for Stout in Grand Central, New York City. And we got a very full week of content. We'll have Will on the feed tomorrow reacting to the game. We'll have Jet Heads, and we'll have other guys. Great job on the pregame show by Paul and Meigs, which both Connor and myself and Will all called into. So make sure you're following that before every Jets game this year, available on our YouTube channel and on our Patreon. And then Connor and I will be back, as always, in the midweek with War Room and our normal podcast. And we'll have a little more time to digest all of the goodness in the film of what comes out of this game, and there'll be plenty popping this week with everything going on at Florham Park Tuesday and Wednesday with the Jets and the Giants. So this will be a fun 7-day stretch, especially coming off this kind of win. And enjoy it tonight if you're a Jet fan. Go watch that Fields highlight. Go watch that Smart highlight. Go watch that Leonard Taylor strip sack. And I don't know if this is the peak of Tulefe's career, but if it is, what a ride. What a ride it was tonight.
How much fun it was.
We'll never forget. So thank you, everyone, for listening. Jets start off Aaron Glenn's tenure with a nice, convincing preseason win, and I hope we get to deliver a similar podcast after his first regular season game. Thank you, and we'll talk to you soon.